would say, yes, I am a supporter.
Right. And why is that the case?
Well, I think that every state has certain obligations to fulfill in terms of international law and human rights law.
Right.
And that's true for Israel as much as it is for any other state. And there's a history of being able to use civil society movements to try to put international pressure on certain states, including the state of Israel, to try to get them to fulfill their obligations.
When it comes to individuals who have said that this movement should be shunned, should not be on campus, how do you feel about that? I mean,
I think that campus is precisely where the difficult issues should be discussed. I mean, BDS is fundamentally a peaceful movement. It's not trying to advocate violence. It's through a non-violent strategy. It's trying to get Israel to fulfill its international obligations. If some people feel that that is anti-Semitic, then they're entitled to their opinion, but I see nothing anti-Semitic about it. In fact, Israel is a state, and one should be free to criticize Israel as a state, just as one should be free to criticize Saudi Arabia as a state. One should be free to criticize Italy as a state,
right.
England as a state, France as a state, or the United States.
It's interesting you mention that, because when I interview those who typically are against BDS and typical supporters of Israel, they point out that other Middle Eastern states aren't doing so well as far as upholding their human rights.
That's true, and I've also written criticisms of many states in the region.
Right.
But it's also true that the United States has a very intimate and, in fact, financially supportive relationship to the state of Israel. So there's also a very specific kind of relationship that the United States, and a specific kind of responsibility that the United States has to the state of Israel.
What do you know of the Boycott, Divest, and Sanctions Israel movement?
I know a lot. I've written a few things about it, and
do you support them?
A few more. No, I think it is a dishonest movement that is driven solely by hatred of Israel. I don't think they really give a shit about the Palestinian people.
All right.
They hate Israel.
All right. And according to their website, they see themselves as an organization that, I'm paraphrasing here, that hopes to apply pressure on Israel by a nonviolent means. Do you think this is true?
There are certainly legitimate grievances about some of the things that go on in the West Bank, and I have no problems with the movement criticizing. What they do, however, is they paint Israel, not just the West Bank, they paint Israel as an apartheid state. And apartheid is only when the government, and you had apartheid in South Africa only after 1948,
right.
when it was official government policy. You had it in the South in this country called Jim Crow when it was official government policy. You don't have it. You have, like in a lot of places in this country and elsewhere, you have employers that have some biases.
I have to ask,
yeah.
Do you think that the government of Israel has done enough to undo this perception, at least, of apartheid?
No, because it is, I wrote a paper that compared Netanyahu to Nixon.
Right.
He still throws bones to racist Jews in rhetoric.
I just want to ask one last question on the matter of apartheid in Israel, whether it exists or not. You have individuals, like former President Carter, and I believe there was a UN report recently. It was withdrawn for different reasons, but it cited Israel as an apartheid state. Why do you think this is?
Why? Because...
Do you think they just see one side of the
I
story?
think it's the perception of Netanyahu. I mean, we have it in this country with the perception of Trump. Right? You can say he's a fascist, right? You know, that's what people... So at Brooklyn College, to show we're not like Trump, we stand against hate.
Right.
Which I think is deplorable.